Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, let's go over NVIDIA. Let's talk about what is happening to NVIDIA, what we can expect moving forward and all that good stuff. NVIDIA just reported earnings, had a pretty negative reaction, initially down 4%, now only down about 1.5%. Let's see how it actually finishes. But yeah, if you enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., well, again, I do share my thoughts with my members on YouTube, the YouTube membership section. Of course, that link is down below where I'm constantly sharing thoughts, posts, updates. Definitely check that out. That link is down below in the description of every single video. For just $3 a month, you get access to my first tier, which includes all my Tesla updates, options flow, technical analysis, and broader market updates as well. Sometimes when there's something worth sharing, SPY, QQQ, etc. Again, just $3 a month. That's all it is. $5 includes all my NVIDIA updates as well. $7 includes all my updates for non-Tesla, non-NVIDIA stocks that I share with members. And on the weekend, I do chart requests over on Discord every single Sunday. So definitely check that out. We'd love to have you there. But NVIDIA closing the day pretty much flat on the day, 181 and change, 181.6 we'll say. But after hours, obviously now down about 2%. Again, give it time. I don't like to, judge earnings reactions instantly, right? If it's good or bad. Sometimes it reverses. The call can change things and it can completely change things by tomorrow morning. It can look completely different for better or for worse tomorrow morning. Again, too many people kind of stare at it like, oh my God, what is it going to go up? Is it going to? It's just to take a step back, calm down, let it do its thing. Unless you're day trading this for tomorrow, why does it matter, right? Let it do its thing, let it show its hand. So let's talk about it though, right? Let's just say we'll make assumptions here because I don't know how it's going to open tomorrow morning and how tomorrow's reaction will go. By the way, tomorrow is also an important day because the way because you have the after hours earnings reaction, and then once the actual market opens, you can have another pretty powerful reaction also for better or for worse, right? It could, maybe if it starts, let's say tomorrow down 3%, it can go down 6%, or it can recover and end flat, right? You don't really know. But the point is the fact that we can get another potentially volatile reaction tomorrow during market hours as well. So it's always good to let things settle. Let the dust settle around the stock that just reported earnings, especially if there was a drastic move, which maybe we'll get one here, right? Who knows? We'll see. But I'll go over a few things with you guys. So first and foremost, right, the overall technical setup, despite earnings, of course, being definitely, an anomaly, I mentioned is, well, we did obviously have a massive drop. We had a massive rally right into the green Fibonacci's. And you can see pretty much for the last 3 days, we were getting rejected and kind of holding right around those green Fibonacci's in that kind of 181 and change, if you will, price range, right? And we've been holding around there pretty well, right? Pretty damn well. And essentially not able to, convincingly get back above. But on the bright side, we also turned sort of 179 to 180 roughly into supports. So those are kind of good signs for the down for the support, and bad signs for the resistance at again 181 and change, 182 we'll say to make it simple. So we were kind of sandwiched in between there. Now that earnings has happened, again, let's see how earnings opens up. Let's see how it opens up tomorrow morning, how the calls go. There's still a lot of factors, right? I don't like to make people scared or too excited. It's always good to remove emotion. If you see a stock up, don't get too excited. If you see a stock down, don't get too scared. Remove emotion. Just try to look at it as emotionless as possible, and it will help you quite a bit, right? It's not easy to do. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but it's something you need to learn if you want to trade. So let's see how it opens tomorrow, right? Let's see how it opens tomorrow. Let's see how this earnings reactions, how it continues, etc. But the structure, the technical structure, again, I've been saying many times, obviously earnings is an anomaly, but just off of what we can look at and we can perceive, if you will, the structure was bearish, right? It was bearish. Why was it bearish? Because we had a massive fall, we broke this low, and then we ended up dead catting right into the green Fibonacci's. The same thing NVIDIA has done so many times in the past, and it seems to be doing again. And if this earnings reaction does remain red, and if we don't get a nice recovery tomorrow, it just even further tells me the fact that that's just kind of how this stock likes to move, right? It really likes these green fibs, man. It really likes the green fibs. It does these things all the time. So let's see, right? I'm not gonna make this video too long because I need to see how tomorrow goes. Tomorrow's a very important day as well, on top of this after hours price action. It's very important. But overall, let's see how this goes, right? But definitely gonna watch for now back to 179 to 180 as potential resistance. But if we ended up closing pretty weak tomorrow, and this earnings reaction doesn't get, I guess, bought up, if you will, we could be in a bit of a pickle here, right? We definitely could be entering a bit of a pickle where, again, if this is indeed a dead cat and essentially kind of a bear flaggy, bear wedgie type look, well, how do you measure these? Well, you take the kind of the pole, if you will, the bear flag or wedge in this case, and you measure from roughly the breakdown, somewhere around here, and this can absolutely bring us down into the mid 160s, right? That is, it's a very real possibility to essentially make a new low, at least, and that's just to play out this bear flag. But remember, if these exponential moving averages start crossing bearish, which to be fair, it will take quite a long time and definitely still a lot more work from the bears for that to happen, then, we can see more pain ahead, right? We can start beginning an overall larger retracement back to really like true key levels. And what are those key levels? Like, where do I personally get excited, right? And this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. If I look at a chart that's like this, if I look in the weekly candles and I look at a chart that looks like this, to me, I think that the move has, you've missed a good portion of the move. Now, that doesn't mean NVIDIA eventually, a year, 2 years, 5 years from now won't be probably higher. Let's be honest here. I'm talking about short term for the next maybe couple months even, right? To me, these kind of things, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, maybe I missed a bit of the move. I like to look at it and, based on many factors, like I said, for instance, the SMI being all the way up here and the MACD starting to make fresh lower highs on the weekly time frame, which once it started doing that, what has happened? We've pretty much stalled out. The second we printed that first lower high in the weekly MACD, you guys remember me talking about this euphoric rally, what has it done? It's pretty much stalled, right? It's pretty much stalled. The exact same thing it did here, exact same thing it did here. Same thing over and over and over. This stock likes doing these kind of patterns. So again, let's see how it goes. But to me, if we start closing weekly candles below about 175, that would be a concern. I think that would be a concern. This would be taking this resistance level that actually has turned into a bit of a support on the weekly, and we would kind of lose that range. And, we could get a decent flush down in the, weeks, maybe even months to come, depending on how quick it happens. But again, I'd definitely be looking for about sort of mid-ish 170s to see how this week and even the month actually closes. Taking a look at the monthly candles. Yeah, even the month, right? I'll definitely be looking at those to see how that closes. Now, if we do get a weakness in the week and the month, if we do finally begin a retracement, again, where do I get excited? Just my personal opinion. Where do I get excited? Where do I like, man, okay, I'm very happy buying NVIDIA. I'm very, very happy, right? Again, it seems like it's impossible. I'll tell you the level. Many people will think there's no way that's going to happen. That's impossible. It'll never happen. You're crazy. In your dreams, right? I mean, again, they said the same thing here. And then we went, admittedly pretty low, but, just keep that in mind. My level where I get excited, specifically for NVIDIA, it's a great company, don't get me wrong, but specifically for just a risk-reward scenario is, retesting all-time highs, previous all-time highs, I should say, right? Which is, again, about, 150-ish, right? Which also lines up with that 382 Fibonacci at 147. That's where I get excited from a longer term perspective. That's where the risk reward to me starts making more sense. That's where I feel comfortable. But that's just me. Maybe you feel comfortable buying up here, and even if it goes down, you'll just buy more. That's fine. I'm someone where, again, I don't really get FOMO on stocks like NVIDIA. I don't know why. The only stock I get FOMO on is Tesla. It's annoying, actually, honestly. Sometimes it makes me do bad decisions. I don't really get FOMO on NVIDIA. I don't know why. I just don't, which actually makes me trade NVIDIA. When I do trade it, actually pretty good and pretty effective, because I don't really care that much in terms of just like, oh my God, I don't want to miss out on NVIDIA. I just look at it very objectively. I don't really care. But that's where I get excited. If I miss that opportunity, if it just, rockets from here, which is a possibility, of course, it is what it is, right? It is what it is, right? That's just, hey, that's how the cookie crumbles. That's how the cookie crumbles. But again, to me, this is where I get excited. This is where the risk reward starts making sense to me. And that's just my level I'm roughly looking for. If we see a retest of previous all-time highs, thumbs up. Consider me an excited buyer, right? So let's see. We'll take a step by step, day by day, week by week, maybe even month by month, however long it takes. If we ever get that opportunity, I'll be pouncing. If not, that's fine. There's literally a million other stocks to trade, right? So not a worry for me, not a worry. So let's continue, monitoring it. Let's see how it goes up. But I think the main thing to watch for, at least in my opinion, for the weekly, is about the mid-ish 170s, right? How do we close the weekly candle? How is it going to look like, especially after this earnings drop? Do we get a bearish weekly candle? Do we get a bearish close under key levels? Or do we hold? Do the bulls come in? And maybe best case scenario, like really the best case scenario is, what if this is just a massive bull flag forming up here? It could be. It could be. You never know. But to me, 170, mid 170s roughly is that key level for bulls to hold if they really want to keep this sort of bull flaggy dream alive. That looks, like it does have a bit of a bull flag look. But again, mid 170s, that needs to hold. And it's a big thumbs up if they do it. If they don't, well, we just play out the way we've done here and the way we did here with the MACD and the SMI combination and even here. So again, let's see. I do want to see how tomorrow goes. I'm very curious to see how tomorrow goes. I'm very curious to see if the bulls step in or not. Do they step in and save the stock? Do they step in and bring it back up, or does the weakness continue? We need to see how tomorrow goes. It could be really important. But I've been saying many times how this is, in my opinion, it's a risky long here. It was definitely a risky long here from my perspective. There's just better situations like Apple, a nice up day of 0.5%, breaking out of the bull flag. I mean, why would I not long this instead? It's just safer, easier. There's no risk of earnings. It just makes sense to me a little bit more than than everything else. It's the only one even green after hours, right? Things like that, or even like, I don't know, United Healthcare. Actually, this is all things I share with my members. I'm just giving you a quick thing, I guess, if you will, from before. But even United Healthcare looks surprisingly, like it's trying to develop something here. It could be a little bit interesting. Let's see how that develops. Even Netflix, I think, which is one of my personal favorite stocks. Actually, it's my second favorite stock, admittedly, second to Tesla. Yeah, looking not too shabby, has some potential here, right, in terms of a risk reward. So it's just there's so many other opportunities that I'd rather be in than NVIDIA, at least right now, until I see something worthwhile. So anyways, that's all I got for you. Let's watch for those levels. Let's see how this reacts tomorrow. Let's not jump to conclusions too far yet. People will be too excited. All the bears are going to be very excited, believe me. But again, even from that side, let's just see how tomorrow goes. Let's see how it opens. Let's see how the price truly reacts in an open market to your earnings. And then we can start looking for stronger conclusions to make off of that. But anyways, the earnings reaction, kind of, a little bit less than the expected range. The market was expecting just over 6% at about 170 to 192, 93. Obviously, we're a little bit higher than 170. We're at 176 roughly. So a little bit of a less of a reaction than the market expected, right? About 3% to 6% expected. So if you're an option seller, congratulations. You're probably winning here. Hey, congratulations. But thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.